welcome to the first episode of Off the Record, the official podcast. I think we should definitely hard launch this, just because I don't want to think of a rollout campaign. So just let's hard launch,
Okay.
right?
Do we have a podcast name?
Should it be? What do you think it should be?
On the record.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. That's
On
perfect.
the record.
On the record with off the record.
Slay.
And someone write that down. Write that down. Just our first episode. I'm Reegan. I'm the editor in chief. And today we're just kind of going to be talking about the ins and outs of Off the Record, how we came to be where we are. I think it's going to be a really fun conversation. I just love chatting with you guys. And I'm excited. So, yeah. Does anyone else want to start with an introduction or?
Yeah. I'm Sloane. I'm also the editor-in-chief. So I guess we're co-editors in chiefs. And I am currently based a little bit outside of Chicago. Yeah.
Cool. I can go. I'm Brady. I am a writer and a social media consultant for Off the Record. I've been with you guys for a little over 2 years. So I've known
Wow.
Reegan and Sloane for a while now. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to get into the nitty gritty of all of that. But I'm based in Milwaukee.
I'm Emma. I'm managing editor. I also write and interview a bunch. I also think I'm just about 2.5 years in. December of 2022.
Ooh, you know the date.
Yeah, it was just so weird to think about. But yeah, so it's been I guess 2.5 years with Off the Record also, and I'm based out of New York City.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm based out of St. Louis. I'll be moving in a couple months to God knows where, but that's where I am right now.
And we're all Midwest princesses from
That's right.
birth.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I guess I think it would be really interesting if we all talked about like what drew us to the music industry in general, and then also kind of what your first memory. I know Emma period remembers the date, but like what drew you to like Off the Record in general. So if you want to go first, then I guess we can kind of tag team. I guess we might have your stories.
What got me into music, this is the story I tell everyone, is I was in fifth grade and I saw Green Day play on MTV live, and that was like legendary to me. I didn't know you could make music that angry. And from that day I was like, I need to do that. So I like learned how to play guitar, went to this program called School of Rock, played in bands, and then kind of like learned that I like behind the scenes more. So started like managing and sending emails for bands in high school. And I was always kind of like the photo friend. And I didn't realize until college that you could like take photos of bands. And so someone named Shelby in 2020, my freshman year of college, had asked me to join her publication because she knew I was into photography, but I had no idea what a publication was. So I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like never did anything with it. And then about a year later, when I decided I wanted to do music photography, everyone was saying, well, you need a publication to do that. And I was like, where have I heard that word before? And then I was like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, Shelby, like, do you still have that publication? She's like, yeah, I don't really use it anymore. So go ahead, like, use it to shoot whatever show you want. And she was the original owner of Off the Record. And so I just started like shooting shows through it. And then I was like, can I have this? And she was like, yeah, if you start paying for it, sure. I was like, period. So then everything got transferred over and I was just using it to shoot shows at first until I realized like, well, if you want to do bigger shows, you need to be writing reviews. Like you kind of need a team. So I started doing research and just seeing how other people ran theirs. And Reegan being my sister, I knew that she uh, did like yearbook in high school and knows how to write. So I asked her to help with the journalism aspect. And then I think from there, like started putting out applications like probably like 6 months later or something. Um, and yeah.
Yeah, I remember obviously I got my start in yearbook in high school, and then I was going to be a journalism major in college. Like the same year that we started Off the Record was when I had to declare my major. And then I started like knowing what it meant to be a journalist that wasn't just music. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I'm not a journalism major anymore. But the first show that someone I went to was Wallows in May of 2022. Do you remember that song?
Yeah, in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I was there.
Oh my
It was
God!
crazy.
Invisible Strings.
Like And sometimes I'll go back and look at that review and I'm like, okay, just ignore all the words, but it's fun. It was a time, yeah. So okay, Brady, let's get
Also
into
a crazy, terrible trip, but we need to do an episode on crazy shit that has happened because of
yeah.
record. But
Oh my gosh, I would love that. I actually just learned all of this, Sloan, about Off the
oh,
Record. I didn't know all of that. That's like a beautiful little
yes.
story.
Yes, which was great, like that it was already kind of like made, but like there were a lot of things that needed to be changed. Like the website, like we spent so much time like changing it to make sense, but it was really nice to have that foundation of like, okay, it already exists. I don't have to go buy a domain, like,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Right. Also, I want to do another whole episode about your time in School of Rock because I didn't even know that was like I thought that was just like one of those mattress stores that like embezzles money. I didn't know it was a real
Oh,
thing.
no, she's real, but like
Be
it was kind
real. I have
of
the photos. Some I can send you some photos. Maybe
it
we
was
should put some.
honestly, if you just wanted to send a bunch of like young kids who like music so they could go and like hook up and stuff, like that's what School of Rock was. There's just like a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, but no,
See
no,
that
well
was
at the
theater
time.
camp for me.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, I guess what drew me to the music industry, one of the first concerts I ever went to, I saw Lana Del Rey when I was like 14 at Tinley Park, like in the pit, snuck in with the VIP, and I feel like that was the moment where I was like, yeah, I'm obsessed with concerts, and I just am obsessed with pop culture and the idea of celebrities and music and everything all together. So yeah, I've just always been in love with people like that, and then I want to talk to them, and I love talking to people. So that's kind of where I ended up going to school. I did do journalism, and I also learned all about the hard journalism stuff. And I determined, you know what? I think I want to work more on like the entertainment side. So I do this, and then I also work in radio at FM 1021 in Milwaukee. So yeah, music has kind of taken over everything, and it's my entire life, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But off the record, yeah, I guess like my memories of joining, were just like all of the really cool cover stories that I've gotten to write. Like Kaylee Morg, even though I don't know if she creates music anymore, which we've all dove into a little bit. And like Olivia O'Brien.
What happened to her?
I don't know, but Medusa was a really good song, and that was when I was in high school, and I told her about it, and I loved it. But yeah, and Upsal too. That was really fun. Sloan and I did that together. She shot it, and I interviewed her.
Yes, you've done major like 3 out of 5 of our cover stories, and 2 of them literally don't have artists on the cover. So you've done it.
Bow bow.
Yes.
But yeah, so happy to be here.
Yay. Miss Emma.
Um, for me, it's so hard to say exactly when. Like, music's always just really been a big part of my life. My dad was a musician or is a musician, and so I always say that I grew up listening to him play guitar every single night when I was going to bed. I spent all of my family friends are from music in some way. So that was always just a huge part of my life and my family and how I grew up. Um, and then when I moved to New York, I my degree's in fashion and I was at fashion school and pretty immediately I was very bored. And so I was like, let me go just do something new. So I went to a show at like a small venue in the West Village. One random night, I always say it was like fate that took me there. I don't know how it all connected, but it did. And it's this band called The Breaks, who I work with now, and I manage them a little bit. But I saw them, and I just had this like it sounds so silly, but there's like this universe moment where I was like, oh my God, like this is what I'm gonna do. Like I want to find artists and I want to share them with the world. And I left that night and I was like, this is like it kind of was a 180 for me. And I was like, this is the moment that I'm gonna start writing. And so I that was kind of it for me. And I started writing some reviews because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where to go. So I just started randomly writing stuff for myself. I found Off the Record through a TikTok Sloan made. And then
Me too.
yeah, so there we go. Same origin story.
Sponsor us.
So I sent an email to you, and then the rest is history, basically. So that was December of 2022. I think that some of my, favorite things have been building up, becoming a better interviewer, and I'm really grateful for the opportunities that Off the Record has given me because, when I started, I was like just beginning, and so it's very interesting what 2.5 years can do.
Yes.
Yes.
I was literally thinking too, like, how did both of you join the team? Because it's been so long that I like don't even remember, but it's been like perfect. Because in the early days, there were definitely people who were added to the team, and it was like, oh, but like now we have like you guys and some other of the OG people that have just been like so amazing and making all of this work, and can't imagine doing it without you guys.
No, and I feel the
Oh,
same way. Like thinking about, especially how many like years it's been that it's been so long. I can't believe that people are like still like championing the stuff that like me and Sloan do, and then we have this whole support system and like this team that's like we say something and it's like okay, well let's get it done, let's get it done, and we know that there's going to be people with us, and I just love that. And first other thing, Emma, I didn't know you were fashion studies, but it's like making sense now. Why did everything click for me? I'm like, wait, that low key, like I can see that. Like I can see that in like the stuff that you post on Instagram. Like not to like sidetrack, but like I can sense
Fine.
that. Like period.
Yeah.
And I also totally agree that like going to a show and seeing smaller artists and being like, wow, I feel like the whole world needs to know about this is kind of what keeps me going in this. Like I just love like being able to push smaller artists forward. I love that feeling. Yeah. Um, the next question I have is just like, well, where the idea of it came from, which we already talked about, but also just about the name. And I just think it's so funny because Sloan and I always talk about like, what would the name be if we didn't like already have that kind of foundation? And I have no clue. I have no idea.
No idea. And it's also kind of a double whammy because it's like off the record and then off the record press, like the literal like pressing plant of a record, which is something I didn't even think about until like a couple months ago, which is cool. But I do think it's a great name.
Yeah. And sometimes
it
I know
really
I've definitely
is.
thought about removing like the press to it all, but it's like just keep it in, just leave it in.
Either one works. We say whatever.
Yeah. Right. And I think it would also be fun to talk about. I have it down as like we really didn't know what we were doing moments. And I think there's something so special about all of those moments just because like everything that we did in the beginning was that we don't really know. Like let's just try and let's test it. And sometimes we still have those moments today. Like you can't shy away from that. But does anybody have any like specific stories?
I feel like almost like every day. Like when we did like our first zine shoot, like I really had no idea that you could like get someone to do something A for free, like artists need press, and also just like finding a stylist, all that stuff. And like that's definitely something we wouldn't have been able to do without like Emma and Tori and Sid, and just like everyone in New York who was able to make those shoots possible. So that was like a big one. That's not like a funny moment, but I think just like in the beginning, like if someone couldn't make a show they said they were going to, like I would like go crazy. Like I thought that was the end of the world. And like reality is like, oh, okay. Like, we'll either find someone else or we just tell them, So it's been definitely like a learning curve to be like, it's okay. Like if something goes wrong or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still learning that even today. Like especially with interviews, that's mainly what I do. Like the first two times, maybe three, four, that I did an interview, I think about it and it like makes me so embarrassed. Like I'm just like, oh, that's like I just like it makes me tense up. Like the first interview I ever did in New York City, the artist was 50 minutes late, and I didn't know that I could just like leave. I just like sat there. This was not for off the record, by the way. But I just like sat there and I was like, didn't know that I could just like go home or I just not tolerate that kind of behavior treatment. Like I didn't realize that. So that one is, I think, had been a big learning curve where I'm like, oh, actually, I can like kind of, choose if I want to be here or not. And so I definitely have never done that since. Um, and I feel like every interview, sometimes, you just learn to adapt. And I always feel like in those moments, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Is this interview going to work out? Is it not? So I'm also trying to kind of learn that like everything's okay. It's not too serious. I don't have to be, so stressed about it. So I feel like I have those moments, like even though it's been a couple years, I have those all the time where I still can't believe that I'm like doing this. And it's worked out so far.
No,
I also have moments. Oh, sorry, Regan, you can go. Okay. Yeah, I have moments where like I think about the times where I was given a photo pass and I'm like not a photographer. Like I love writing and I think just realizing that like people still want you to go for like just a review and like if I get a photo pass I don't have to like be so anxious and like trying to get something to make it work. Like I can just go to the show and write a review and it'll still be like worth it and people will still like engage with it. So I just think about the moments where I look back and I'm most embarrassed, not even necessarily for off the record, but like I used to write for my college publication, and there was one time where I like shot Reba McEntire at Pfizer Forum, and I'm like, why did I do that? Like I had to have somebody set up my camera for me, and I was so scared. And it was like it's a funny story looking back,
how
but
is the show? I love Reba.
Reba slayed. She said you could hear me on the radio. Like it was so good.
It's,
I definitely can relate to that, like feeling like if I would email a publicist and be like, "We're looking for a review ticket," then it'd be like, "Okay, you're all good for a review and photo pass." Like if I was sending it on behalf of someone, being like, "Okay, you need to go get a camera." I'd be like, "Why would I make them do that?" Like it's just like the publicist did not fully read the email or see what
Right,
for. It's like
no,
it's
they
okay.
actually don't care.
Yeah. And in fact, they want reviews more than they want photos.
Yeah,
To be
for sure.
yeah. And even like when Emma was saying about interviews, I remember one of my first interview for Off the Records was with Dayglow. And like I was actually telling my friend about this the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know who that is." But I was like, "Okay, you can say you don't know who that is, but he was running Bedroom Pop in 2017, 2018. Like, okay, he big. Like we can't shy away from that. And the nerves, like I probably still have the recording actually. I'm like, you could probably hear my voice shaking. Why? It's like, can you just chill? Like, can you just talk? So I just think back, it's like, okay, girl, just move on. Okay, just be
I
chill.
feel like in interviews, you just feel so responsible. And, I feel like my earlier interviews too I was so nervous that like it was just so like question and answer. I would ask a question and then they would answer and they'd be like, okay, cool. Next question. Like I would do that because I just like physically couldn't have a conversation because I'd be like, okay, I need to make sure all my questions are right and I need to make sure that everything goes well. Like that's how I would feel. Whereas
Right.
now, my like I have to structure my interviews because I feel like they're much more conversational when you learn that you can actually just like sit and talk with someone and it's way more fun that way too. So I really like doing that. And the Dayglow interview is the first one I ever read on Off the Record. Fun fact. I don't remember it, but I remember that I read
That's
it.
crazy. That's crazy, dude. I think I just reread it because I was like making my portfolio. I just reread it. I did not know a thing about like copy editing. Like, there's too many grammar mistakes in that it's like, all right, just I need to go back. No, just
I also look back at old like Zoom recording from interviews, and for whatever reason, I always had a bobblehead, and I felt like I had to be so into it that I was like, right, right, totally, and that's humiliating.
no. Okay, well, that was like initial struggles. Do you have any like initial successes? Like, what do you think was going super well in the beginning? I mean, it probably still is.
Oh, in the beginning, I have no idea because I felt so stressed in the beginning, I feel like. I think something I always maybe applaud myself on is like internally our show request sheet because I feel like there like you can't Google online what that's supposed to look like. Um and I think I ate like because we used to have the Google like you had to fill out a form and I think this sheet now is really nice and I think just like the way you and I also just work together to kind of like figure out a structure and it's been a struggle even now like 2 3 years later but I think we just keep continuing to grow in that aspect like I don't think there's anyone that could be like you guys are unorganized or like you don't really know what you're doing or like you're not good communicators or there's no resources like we kind of have everything down pat like if you go online to our portal of information, like it's there. So I would say that's a success. Yeah.
You guys ate.
Yeah, that's one thing that like I always feel about like Sloan in the beginning. I don't know. Sloan to me, you always just give him like very confident and like you're like a either I don't know but we'll figure it out or I do know and let's just do it right now. Like that's just how Sloan's been. And it I mean it's carried us. Like yeah, let's do it. Something else I feel like is a I'm gonna like skip around here, but like something that else that we could talk about is like why we chose to do print in a very like digital world. Like we already have a website, but personally, I think that there's something so magical about being able to hold like a finished product in your hand. Like it is just different. Like yeah, you can set up a whole photo shoot, whatever, and then put it online, and okay, yeah, you can see it, but like being able to hold it in your hand is I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can go, Sloan.
I was gonna say I definitely agree with that because like in the beginning, the process of making it was definitely stressful, but like once we got that first zine, it was like such a magical moment. Me, you, and like Natalia all being together with it. And like another thing is people will buy it. Like people want stuff like that. Like not everyone wants to stare at their phone. In fact, probably a lot of people don't read articles on their phone as much as like you would hope they would. Um, but I think just having it, even if it's just something where like we make it and the only people that own it are people on our team, like it's still really cool and you get to be more hands-on with artists and um, artists obviously want to be in featured in print as well. So
Yeah, and I just think with like the resurgence of vinyl and cassettes and CD and like physical music, it really lends hand in hand, like having a print magazine, being able to hold it, use it as decor in your room. And I mean, it does feel so much like much more of an accomplishment even as a writer too to like hold your work. There's really like nothing comparable to it. It is such a cool experience, and I feel like social media has kind of just made like digital journalism feel like kind of watered down, and like you can't really tell. I don't know, not to get all political, but you know, journalism, there's some qualms. So it's kind of different to be able to all have our own voice like in a physical package and be able to, you know, share that with people. And I just think it's so fun to walk past my little dresser in the morning and see, oh, we worked on that. It was really, really fun and we all worked super hard.
No, yeah, I literally keep mine hanging. Hold on, let me make sure I'm going the right way. I keep mine hanging right here, and like people will walk into my room and just immediately like snatch it right off the wall. I'm like, yeah, you got to see it. Like you have to see it. I don't know.
One of my friends made me sign one of hers, and that was like the coolest thing in the world. I was like, everyone take a video. I'm signing it.
I'm obsessed.
Okay,
I want,
autograph.
I want to say too, like for us too, like I have met, like I flew to New York and stayed with Emma for the Stanley shoot, and me and Brady did the Upsall one. Like that's also how we met in person. Like, and I think that just like gives us a connection to everyone. Like Reegan, you met Nico, um, and just like because then you just get to do things in person rather than like, oh, I could just do this like from either behind the barricade or like over the phone, you know. So it's been really cool just like growing as like people and making friends and everything. So
Yeah, that's a good point. And like something that I always try to tell people, like when they're joining as like a photographer or a writer, I do try to make it a point. Like it feels most of what you do will feel very independent, but like that's not the case at all. You're representing off the record, but you're also representing like everyone else that we work with, and it really is a team effort. Like day to day, it really is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like that was so fun when the Stanley shoot that we got to do. I had such a good time. It's really fun that, you know, you came and I got to connect you with like my people in New York. And it's interesting too because even though there's so many people specifically on the off the record team that I've never met who are more Chicago based or in other cities, I still feel like I'm like friends with everybody. Like I feel like I've like there's certain people that I'm like I've never met you. Like, are you sure? Because I feel like I've known people for so long, or they're like my best friend, and it's like kind of funny to think about.
Those group chats have been going crazy since the beginning. That's one win.
We will kiki in a group chat over text, like we really
and wait, like me, Brady, Jamie, and Natalia and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone when we like met up in Chicago.
Yeah, the
And
pizza party.
yes, oh my God, I
I
am
wasn't there.
praying that I'm not missing anyone, but I feel like I am. But like,
Was
it
Logan there?
No,
no.
I wish. Shout out Logan. I still want to
Oh,
meet him.
I have met Logan. Okay, but like
I
not
didn't see it
there.
yet.
But like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just like because we can also all just go to a show together, which is amazing.
right. So, what's everyone's favorite like off the record moment?
I think I have one or two if I can go. Um, yeah, it's so hard to decide. I've been thinking about this question for days. I was like, what am I going to say? And I still don't know because I think I have to recount, but I think right now I'm somewhere in the 70s of the amount of interviews I've done over the last 2.5 years. I'm like 70.
Wow.
Very good.
So I'm like, I always like forget too, but I think that the two interviews that always come to mind when I think of like the big moment, the first one was Medium Build. That whole experience
I
was
love him.
unbelievable. Yeah, that was he was so nice. I remember sometimes when I go to an interview, I have my questions prepared and I'm like, I know this interview is going to be great. Like I can just from the questions I have this confidence. That one I was a little hesitant. I was like, I feel like they're okay, but what if he doesn't respond well? I don't really know. So I was feeling like kind of, I don't know, in the middle about it. And then I went and it was like the best conversation ever. It was so fun and he was so nice. And so that was a really big moment, especially me and Tori, who shoots for me. That was like one of our favorite moments. Yeah, it was just really great. And then the other one would probably be the first time I interviewed Zia of the Dandy Warhols. That was another moment that was one of my favorites. The interview was so fun. That whole weekend, that's like a whole separate story on its own. But it was a whole weekend thing that we did. And then we got to interview her on her tour bus, which was very fun. And she is one of my favorite people to talk to ever. And that one did really well. And those were two moments that kind of really felt like everything that I'd ever worked on came together and really just felt like all the hard work had paid off, basically.
No, I saw like both of your like behind the scenes photos for both of those, obviously, because I posted them on Instagram, but that looked like an amazing experience. It really did.
I'm gonna say, and it's probably gonna change all the time, but this is just the first thing that comes to mind, is when Regan interviewed Stanley Simmons from what's the movie? Stop.
The Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw. Because he was so amazing, and I was like in class, and I just like joined, and like it was such a kiki. Like I think moments like that with people where it's like it doesn't feel stuck up, you don't really feel too nervous, and just like talking to him because it was also probably during a time where we were like, are we really doing another zine? Like, because we definitely had some like difficulties with the last one, and I think it was just a moment that reminded us, okay, this is what we do and why we want to do it, like people like him. And even just like that's when I flew to New York, met Emma and we did the shoot there, and even just meeting him was amazing and it was such a fun time. So I'm gonna say that's probably my favorite moment right
My favorite moment was my interview with Olivia O'Brien. Because I literally remember texting you after Sloan and I was like actually crying. I was so excited. And at the end too, I was so unprofessional, but I was like, I'm obsessed with you. I love you. Like, I just have to tell you. And it was so cute. Like, in the middle of the conversation, she started singing Love Fool by the Cardigans. And I just have this little clip that I will never leave. And yeah, it was just really special to talk to her. And we can also insert the video of me crying too, because I still have that on my phone. Social clips.
now. Amazing. And
Um,
that's another thing that I love is that like you can also like heal your inner self and like experience things that are good for you. Like I mean, when I photographed Green Day for Off the Record, that was also just like another amazing moment. So it's like cool that we can also like live our dream and do things we probably never thought would be possible as well.
Right. And Olivia O'Brien was my first concert back from COVID too. So it just felt like a big full circle of like, didn't think I was going to be able to make it through that. And then now here I am talking to her. So it was very special.
Regan?
Mine, it's gonna be obvious. Like mine, I've been putting on shows in the living room of my house. Just I don't know, with local bands, and then the last one we did was with this band called Edge Hill from Nashville. And although like the week before I had that or we put on that show was maybe the worst week of my life, it was definitely worth it. Like I definitely called Sloan crying that week, like maybe 2 or 3 times. Like I can't do this. This has to. We have to cancel it. And then cut to that Saturday. Like actually putting it on was maybe the best day of my life. Like not only because I love them as musicians, but they were just very nice, very genuine people. Like and also just being in like community. All my friends were there. Everyone, like a lot of people I went to school with were there. A lot of my friends were there, and like it was honestly just beautiful. That show will go down in history because their music is just so awesome. So maybe listen to that. Um, but yeah, like I'd never thought I would be able to like put on house shows. Like you see house shows in like movies and stuff, and you're like, oh, whatever. But then you actually do one, and it's like, oh my god, this is it. This may be it. But yeah, that's me. So great talking with you guys, and I feel like this is really just a glimpse into what it would be like going forward on a podcast. This has been on the record. This is great. Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.